I Hate Politics is a podcast about a human activity we love to hate. I'm Sunil Dasgupta. Now that you've eaten the first round of your turkey or tofurkey, some real business at hand. It is college admission season, and in the next several months, 3.5 million high school seniors in the U.S. will be deciding whether to go to college and which college to go to. More than 2 million of them, about 60%, will end up choosing to go to college either 4 or 2 years. One of the most important factors in the college decision is cost. The current efforts of the Biden administration to write off a part of existing college debt is the tip of the college cost problem. For most families, college is the second largest investment they will make in their lifetimes after their homes. And to do that, they will need to borrow, scrounge, and spend precious time applying for scholarships for a few hundred here and 1,000 there, and yet not being able to cover the year. Going through this myself, college financial aid seems like a black box. You will hear the term need, but what on earth is it? To shine light on this opaqueness, I reached out to UMBC's Director of Financial Aid, Andrea Cipolla, who breaks down the primary instrument most colleges use to determine financial aid: the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA.
Couple of kids at the Ramada Inn, waiting for the lights to dim, looking for something gonna suck them in, or at least we'll pass the time. How are those kids supposed to know that this might be their last picture show? They got 90 minutes till the credits roll to remember every line. Do you love me? I need to know for sure, 'cause I'm tired out here waiting for the cure.
I Hate Politics is a podcast about our neighborhoods, workplaces, schools and streets, and our local governments as they function in diverse and democratic societies. This means our politics are messy, dirty, sometimes corrupt, with often self-serving politicians. But no matter how much we hate politics, we are never exempt from it, even when we refuse to participate. In fact, the purpose of politics is to keep society moving precisely when we don't agree with each other, like now. Music for this episode comes from the Airport 77's, Silver Spring's own power pop band. Their new album, We Realize You Have a Choice, is widely acclaimed and played on alternative radio stations. Andy Sullivan on vocals and guitar, Chuck Dolan on bass, and John Kelly on the drums. You're listening to I Hate Politics. I'm Sunil Dasgupta.
Since the circus left town, things just aren't the same. Two kids parked in a dead-end lane, heater blowing, radio playing, telling each other nothing's gonna change. One of them's
You're listening to I Hate Politics. I am Sunil Dasgupta. This is the Thanksgiving weekend, which starts the 2022 giving season. Every week between now and the end of the year, we are giving space to local nonprofits to pitch for your support. The sheer breadth and variety of community organizations is mind-boggling. They reach parts of our society that markets and the government find hard to reach. You should know that these spots are not paid advertising, but made available for free to organizations we have verified as legitimate and wonderful additions to our community. And we know we'll use your support well. We know that you give generously, and I hope you will consider giving to these nonprofit organizations this year. If you know of other nonprofits who would like to be featured, please reach out at ihppod@gmail.com.
Hi, I'm Ashley Waters, Executive Director of Woman to Woman Mentoring. Woman to Woman Mentoring provides women with guidance, support, and community connections through mentoring relationships. We are a 501c3 nonprofit created by a group of community leaders to serve the women of Frederick County. Through our programming, we offer women the opportunity to be heard, take action, move forward, and grow, all with an extended community of women who remain committed to their success. Our innovative, effective programs, which serve women ages 18 to 60, combine the power of one-on-one mentoring, community building workshops, and opportunities to connect to help women identify and work towards their goals in education, career, and life. For nearly 15 years, Woman to Woman Mentoring mentees have used the power of mentorship to succeed in transition, to start, restart, and complete school, explore, start, grow, and advance in their careers, and to build connections. We are proud to be part of over 500 women's stories. If you'd like to support us, I encourage you to donate this season at womantowomanmentoring.org. Thank you so much and happy holidays.
The Civic Circle breaks new ground in civic learning, starting kids early, using the arts, and teaching real skills. All this empowers young students to truly understand and participate in democracy, a mission that has never been more critical. Starting in elementary school, where civics is often forgotten, we use music and songwriting to make democracy exciting and fun for all students. We call the practical skills we teach 7 steps to democracy. Listen, learn, choose, join, speak, act, and lead. In other words, respect others, seek the truth, vote, volunteer, speak up, and get involved. When students write and perform their own civic songs in our after-school workshops, their confidence soars, and democracy comes alive in their voices. We also present free concerts to get students and families excited about democracy and voting. And we're releasing educational videos and lesson plans to make our programs available to teachers and parents everywhere. Please support the Civic Circle today and make an investment in democracy and student civic power. I'm Eliza Newland-Carney, founder and president of the Civic Circle. If you'd like to support our organization and give the gift of democracy, please click the donate button on our website, www.theciviccircle.org. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Glavin, and I work with Project Linus, Montgomery County, Maryland chapter. Project Linus is an organization that provides blankets to children who've experienced trauma. We provide blankets to children in hospitals, shelters, foster care, and other difficult situations. To donate, please visit the national website, www.projectlinus.org, and click on the donate button, and be sure in the comment box to designate the Montgomery County, Maryland chapter. Your gift will help us comfort children not just around the holidays, but all year long. Look up Project Linus Montgomery County in Facebook, and you'll see about our meetings and activities. And our email address is projectlinus.mc@gmail.com. Thank you very much for your help, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
I am Rahul Khanna and the Executive Director for the Senior Connection of Montgomery County. Senior Connection is dedicated to providing programs and services that preserve and foster independence, mobility, and quality of life for our area senior citizens. Established in 2003, we merged with 2 local, long-standing community nonprofits. The merger allowed the 2 organizations to better serve the greater Montgomery County area by providing free escorted and through-the-door transportation services to our older residents. In 2010, Senior Connection also took over the Red Cross Montgomery County Shoppers Program. Volunteers either escort the senior to the store or personally shop for them and help them put the groceries away upon returning. Over the last 20 years, Senior Connection has provided more than 300,000 free services to over 8,500 senior adults in the region, with the help from more than 1,800 community volunteers. Today, I ask you to donate towards this cause to further our mission, awareness, and outreach. Please go to www.seniorconnectionmc.org. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great holiday season ahead.
My name is Paul Goldman, and I am president of Action Committee for Transit. Action Committee for Transit is a volunteer organization that has a vision of better communities and better transit. We ask for your support to make better transit, safer walking and bicycling, and less sprawling development higher priorities in state and local politics. After 30 years of struggle, ACT achieved its founding mission to get the Purple Line light rail approved, funded, and under construction. Today, one of our major goals is to reduce traffic deaths and serious injuries by redesigning our streets to make it easier and safer to walk and to ride a bike. To accomplish this, we are advocating to county and state government for additional money for sidewalks, bike lanes, and other safe infrastructure, not just paint and signs. We are also advocating for a safe crossing at every bus stop in Montgomery County and a safe walking, rolling, or biking route to every Montgomery County public school. Please help us create a more livable Montgomery County by joining the Action Committee for Transit. Go to our website, actfortransit.org, and click on the Join ACT button. Contributions to ACT are not tax-deductible as charitable donations.
I'm Ilana Mintz, founder and executive director of Urban Adventure Squad, a Washington, D.C.-based nonprofit that provides equitable, curriculum-aligned outdoor learning programs to children in every D.C. ward. Did you know that 98% of D.C. residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park or green space? Did you know that green space is correlated with higher standardized test scores? Outdoor learning is appropriate in every subject. It relies on existing structures like school grounds, playgrounds, public green spaces, and hiking trails. It requires modest investments in community partners and meaningful teacher training. But despite all of that, roughly 87,000 public school students in Washington, D.C. spend most of their time inside every day. We seek to change that by supporting schools and communities in getting children outside to learn, heal, and connect. Donations to Urban Adventure Squad support our outdoor learning programs during the school day, after school, and on days when schools are closed. Please consider a one-time or monthly donation of any amount by going to urbanadventuresquad.org and clicking the donate button. Thank you so much, and have a warm and peaceful holiday season.
I'm Sunil Dasgupta. You're listening to I Hate Politics. You can find links to the websites of the nonprofits on the new I Hate Politics website, ihppod.org. You can also sign up at the website to get the podcast delivered directly to you. For full disclosure, I am on the board of Action Committee for Transit. The reason why donations to Action Committee for Transit are not tax deductible is because they are a 501c4 advocacy organization as opposed to 501c3 charity organizations that the other nonprofits are. And you should know that Urban Adventure Squad is founded and led by my wife, Ilana Mintz. I'll be back with UMBC's Director of Financial Aid, Andrea Cipolla.
She keeps a paintbrush behind her ear. You never know when she'll disappear. Think I'm in love, think I'm in love, think I'm in love. some portraits on the city bus. Hands them out when her stop comes up. I think I'm in love, think I'm in love, think I'm in love. Shadow puppets on the bedroom wall. Never wanna leave a room at all. Think I'm in love, think I'm in love, think I'm in love with everything that ever might bring us together. Help me find a way to get...
Andrea Cipolla, welcome to I Hate Politics.
Thank you for having me.
You're the Director of Financial Aid at UMBC, where I also teach.
Correct.
And this is the time when thousands of parents are worrying about financial aid and their children's admissions to colleges around the country. Let's start with the very basic question. What is FAFSA? And can you explain how it operates?
Yes, so the FAFSA, or the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, is a tool that the Department of Education and schools across the country use to evaluate a student's financial strength when it comes to college. They're trying to use a consistent set of metrics that calculates an expected family contribution, or EFC. The EFC is a numeric representation of a family's ability to pay for college as calculated by the FAFSA application. Now, honestly, most people are horrified when they see that EFC because it's almost always far more than they feel and actually can afford to pay out of pocket.
Okay. So let's talk about the factors that make up that estimated family contribution, or EFC.
Okay, so there's actually a lot of data elements from the FAFSA that go into it, but what I'd like to focus on mostly is the four main components, which are the parent's income, the parent's assets, the student's income, and the student's assets.
Okay.
So for the parent's income, it's more than just the parent's adjusted gross income, or AGI. You have to add back in all of the untaxed income, whether that's your 401k distributions or tax-free interest or a Roth IRA distribution. Families do get an income protection allowance that's roughly equivalent to the federal poverty level for a family of their size. And you also have to subtract out your tax liability, both federal, state tax, payroll taxes. That gives you what your available income is for college. And then that amount is assessed at about anywhere between 22 and 47%. It is definitely the most heavily assessed for most families. And what that means is, every $1,000 of income could raise the EFC by $220 and $470 or points. And why is there such a large range? It looks at a lot of things: age of the older parent and how close they might be to retirement, whether it's a single parent or single income household, the number of dependents in the household, the state, your permanent resident state.
So at the top end of this, for every $1,000 of income, almost 50% is considered to be estimated family contribution.
Could be up to 50% of available income. So remember, you're taking out the taxes and all that income protection. So it's just the available taxes or available income. I'm sorry.
Okay. Distinguish also between parent income and student income at this point. I think that's a good distinction. Most kids, their income is, swim coach and,
right. So again, and we're going to talk about dependent students. So, because independent students are very different. They don't have the parent income to rely on, so there's even a few more protections with that. But for a dependent student who's got a part-time job through the summer or, even year-round, again, it's not just the income. You got to take out the taxes, and there's about $6,800 that's protected allowance for a student's income. And after that, that gives you your available income.
Okay.
Now, for the students, 50% of that available income goes towards the EFC. So, again, if they're earning, less than $7,000, it's not going to be that big of a hit for them.
Okay. Let's talk about assets, both parents and student assets.
Okay. So parent assets is, there's definitely a asset protection that can be anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000. And above that, only 5.64% of a family's assets is considered available income.
Okay. But we don't include in that asset category the home that we live in or our 401k.
Now, reportable assets on the FAFSA include cash in hand on the day that the family files the FAFSA. So their savings account, checking account. If they have a business or a working farm, that is considered an asset. Investment farms and other investments such as real estate. So if they have a second home outside of their primary residence, that's considered an asset. Stocks, bonds, CDs, things like that. What you do not report as assets is your principal residence, including a farm. So if the farm is your principal residence, you don't have to claim that. Life insurance, retirement savings, things like that. Those are not reportable and do not count against you.
Okay. So but of the things that count, 5.64 is the number of all assets that goes into this.
Correct. So just, for every $1,000 you have in those assets, about $56 is going to go towards your EFC after that protection allowance.
Okay. Now, what about students? It's the same thing?
So students' assets get hit a little bit harder. 20% of their assets, and that's usually going to be a savings account or a checking account from this part-time job that they've worked. So 20% of that gets added to the EFC. So $200 for every $1,000 of savings that they have is considered EFC.
What about, college savings funds? Where do those go?
College savings funds do not count as an asset or an income. Those are going to be counted on the back end for students as an estimated financial assistance. So that's going to be funding that is used to pay for tuition, fees, room and board that gets counted into a student's cost of attendance.
Anything else that we should be considering?
It's a pretty long formula. So, they do look at income protection allowance by state. It does look at the number of dependents in the household and for the number of those dependents who are actually attending college.
Okay, so if you have more children in college, then there is a lower amount.
You have a second child going in college at the same time, then that EFC is reduced by approximately 40%.
For both of them then?
For both of them, yes.
And when you say you have 2 kids or 3 kids, does this account for kids both in graduate school and undergraduate, or is it only the first degree?
It's generally just the first degree. Once a student gets into graduate school, they are considered an independent student, and they are going to be classified based on their own income. Mm-hmm. Now, there could be a professional judgment if the family can, say, they're still, 23, 22, 23 years old. I'm still supporting them. They're in grad school. And each individual school financial aid office has the ability to look at that and see if they can justify it for a professional judgment appeal to be able to add that grad student back into the family. But generally, that doesn't happen.
So let's do some basic back of the envelope calculations, if you will help me.
Okay.
For a family that makes $110,000, just I'm using that because that is the median income in Montgomery County.
Okay.
2 children. The first one is going to college, and they have less than $30,000 in cash and other kinds of assets. They have a home, they have retirement accounts. What may be their estimated family contribution?
So, number in household for one in college, $110,000 income. I'm assuming married filing jointly.
Yes.
So, and that they're both parents are making some type of income to make up that 110. So that's about a 24% tax bracket. So taxes paid would be about $26,400. That EFC would be about $8,404. I like using online EFC calculators. There's very many out there that, and they're all different levels of complexity. But I like Get to College, GET, the number 2, college.org. And if you go under the resources, they have an EFC calculator, and you can look and see, plug in the numbers, see how things will change.
What happens if we bring the income down from 110,000 to 85,000? And I'm using 85,000 because the county government in Montgomery says that that is the basic living standard for the county.
So that EFC goes down then to $4,467. That is actually within the Pell range. So they would get a Pell Grant of approximately $2,400 for the year.
Okay, explain the difference between Pell range and other grants for just.
So any family with an EFC between 0 and for the 22-23 year, the maximum EFC is $6,206. So an EFC, but anywhere in that range is going to get some type of federal Pell Grant. The maximum Pell Grant is $6,800 this year. The minimum Pell Grant is about $600. So, and for every 100 points that your EFC goes up, your Pell Grant goes down by $100.
So they pay $4,000. The Pell Grant is another $2,400. It gets them to $6,400 or so. And then they still have to make up the rest.
Correct. There is also state grants if they are Maryland residents, and they apply before the Maryland deadline of March 1st of each year. They could be considered for Maryland grants. And again, those numbers, it's hard to estimate because it's all based on the number of students who apply by that deadline, and they will award students, and then they wait until if those students don't attend, then we get additional eligibility, and they'll keep going up the EFC scale until they run out of money.
But typically, in past years, how much has that been?
A state grant is $3,000, up to $3,000 a year. And then the students do have to maintain certain credit levels, complete so many credits per year, and they have to be making academic progress, things like that.
How many credits a year?
They have to complete at least 24 credits a year.
Okay, so full time.
Yes. They prefer students to complete 30 credits a year, so 15 credits each semester to be able to maintain their $3,000. If they're between 24 and 30, they'll get a prorated amount.
The cost of attendance in Maryland, either at UMBC or at College Park, is how much?
For UMBC, it's about $26,000 for the year.
And break that down.
For students who are Maryland residents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tuition, mandatory fees. Yeah, it's about $6,000 a semester. So a little over $12,200 a year just for tuition and fees.
And about $14,000 in living costs.
Correct.
So now we calculated $4,000 in estimated family contribution, then $2,400 in Pell Grants, another $3,000 possibly from Maryland. We are still at 94, a couple of thousand more to go till we get to the 12,000 tuition point, and then there is another 14,000 to live on campus, right? Where does that money come from?
Comes from a number of different places. The students can apply for scholarships. Hopefully they've been awarded scholarships when they've applied as freshmen. They've met our, early action deadline and some of those, so they get considered for the best possible scholarships they can. It comes from student loans. It can come from some institutional need-based grants.
I don't understand that.
So institutional need-based grants are still based off of the FAFSA. So, and most schools will try to award their neediest students. And that's usually the Pell eligible students. So if they're eligible for Pell, they may also get an additional institutional grant. At UMBC, we try to award all of our Pell eligible students an additional $3,000 a year to help them with their tuition.
So is that true even if you're eligible for $600 of Pell or you're eligible for $6,800 of Pell, or does that get prorated somehow?
Right now, it's a flat amount.
Now, I know some colleges do say that they will meet all demonstrated financial need.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you just take that at face value, what is it? Is it the difference between the cost of attendance and the EFC, or the estimated family contribution? So in this case, this hypothetical case that we were discussing, and say for UMBC, it would be $26,000 as the cost of attendance minus $4,000. That leaves $22,000. So somehow that $22,000 is going to get taken care of. I'm not saying this is UMBC's policy, but when a college says that, is that what they mean?
Yes. But you also need to realize it may not all be in grants and scholarships. It's also including student loans and Parent Plus loans.
Yet more terms to learn about.
Yeah.
Can you explain the different types of loans?
The first thing we look at are the federal loans, and they could be subsidized or unsubsidized. Subsidized direct loans, the government pays the interest while the student is in school. The unsubsidized, which is not need-based, every student will get it regardless of what the family income is. Everybody's eligible for the unsubsidized direct loans, but the interest accrues while the student is in school.
So there is an unsubsidized loan that is different from a Parent Plus loan.
Correct.
And what is that difference?
So the subsidized and the unsubsidized student loans are in the student's name. Repayment on the principal does not start until 6 months after they graduate or drop below half time. But it is in the student's name. They are responsible for repayment And again, there is the difference between the subsidized and the unsubsidized.
Mm-hmm.
They can choose to pay the interest while it accrues on the unsubsidized while they're in school, but most students, it just continues to accrue until they graduate.
And the Parent Plus loan is a loan that the parent takes that is separate from this.
Correct.
And that's just like a equity line of credit or something.
Yes, I mean, it is based on credit. They're usually fixed based on the year that you take the loan out for. Some parents have seen that, especially, in, the early 2020 and 2019, the interest rates were really low. They could get a home equity loan at a better rate than they could the Parent Plus loan. So parents do look at that, but the Parent Plus loan is definitely an option that we give students and their families.
Do you know what the interest rate is on the Parent Plus loan?
Currently, it's 7.54%.
Okay. What about the subsidized and unsubsidized loans? What is the interest rate there?
So the fixed interest rate for undergraduate students is 4.99%.
Are there other non-government sources of financing?
There are. So there are also alternative loans or private loans. We do have students who do utilize that, especially if the parents are not in a position to be able to take out a Parent Plus loan or unwilling to take out a Parent Plus loan.
Why would a parent be not in a position to take out a Parent Plus loan?
Possibly their credit is not good enough. In those instances, if a parent does get denied a Parent Plus loan, there is the option for the student to get additional unsubsidized Stafford loan in the amount of an independent student. And that is usually maxed out at an additional, $2,000 to $5,000 a year.
I still don't see how it all adds up to the $26,000 that this college student is going to need.
A lot of it is they're relying on those parents to take out very large loans. And a lot of it is, hopefully they do have some savings that they can use, but we definitely push a scholarship hustle. There's a lot of private organizations that give out scholarships. It's a lot of work. It's like looking for a job. It really is. But, all these restaurants, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Wendy's, they all have these scholarships. Even the private loan lenders have scholarship programs. You can Google, a bank plus scholarship, and they usually have something out there. There may be some small print or a box that the students will need to uncheck. Otherwise, they may use that information for applying for marketing their student loans. But you can always unsubscribe from that marketing. There's other scholarship searches, free searches that are out there. Finaid.org has a really good scholarship search. We do try to warn students and parents about some scholarship scams. Usually if they're asking you to pay to apply for a scholarship, don't do it. They shouldn't be asking for any personal identifying information, especially social security number, driver's license, bank account information. They shouldn't need any of that for you to apply for a scholarship. Now, there are some legislative scholarships, so they're the delegate and senatorial scholarships that may or may not be need-based. So I tell students, every student, no matter what district you're in, find out who your Maryland state representatives are and start contacting them now to see if there is a separate application process so that they can be considered for their delegates and their senators' scholarship.
It seems that for the 18-year-olds I know, that keeping track and putting all this down and making all the statements is just setting them up for failure.
You can look at it that way, or you can look at it as, they are really investing their time into being able to attend college and pay for it. And, they're learning how to, be a little bit more independent and really get what they need out of the system.
It's all very well to say that, the students should go and get out what they want out of the system, but they want an engineering degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Or they want a public policy degree. That's what they're here for. Instead, we have them running this treadmill of scholarship applications that is just taking them away from the thing that they were supposed to do. We are saying, it would be great if you got that engineering degree. It'd be great if you did that internship. But boy, first, spend the 20 hours trying to get the scholarship in order to be able to enroll.
Yeah. And that's the inherent problem, with our education system and the financial aid system. It's tough.
So let's go back to some calculations. For a same family, of 4, 2 kids, the first going to college, but with an income of $180,000 a year, what would be their estimated family contribution?
So their EFC would be about $28,400.
$28,400.
Correct.
That means they are not eligible for any in-state support.
No, and probably not any institutional need-based support either. And depending on the cost of attendance, they may be eligible for a subsidized Stafford loan, subsidized direct loan. I apologize. But if it's a less expensive school with a lower cost of attendance, they may only be offered the unsubsidized direct loan and Parent Plus loan.
I guess this explains the crush of middle-class students wanting to go to the IVs, where they believe that if you get in, that need would be covered.
And the IVs are different. They don't go just off of the FAFSA application. So there's also, it's called a CSS profile. It's a supplemental application for financial aid. And the bigger schools, the schools that have been in existence for hundreds of years, are going to have more money to be able to help a student. Now, does that mean that it will be less out-of-pocket expenses? Maybe, maybe not.
One of the big things that actually bugs me about the FAFSA is that the FAFSA does not distinguish between somebody that lives in southern Montgomery County versus somebody that lives in Western Maryland or Eastern Shore, where it's cheaper to live. And of course, you could say that, somebody that lives in Western Maryland or Eastern Shore, they are also probably making less income by being there and all of that. But I understand. But $110,000 in Montgomery County for EFC purposes is the same as $110,000 in EFC purposes in Garrett County or Washington County, right? And that just doesn't seem fair in the way that this is organized.
We try very hard to, to help students who are in the urban area.
Well, let me come up front and say that. I mean, southern Montgomery County is significantly more black and brown than Western Maryland is.
Yes.
It is kind of discriminatory for black and brown families. And that's not what it is supposed to be.
No, it's not. It's not meant to do anything like that. I don't know that it's inherently doing that. And I can't really speculate, but it's usually the brown and the black students who are also first generation students whose parents aren't making that much income, even though they are living in a more affluent county. They're probably not making the $500,000 that, some others are.
They come from families that are stressed financially, They have to live in areas that are high rent. For where else are you going to find those any jobs anyway? So it's a double whammy, really. I mean, we do set up their expectations and say, no, Joe, you have to go to college because this is $1 million over your lifetime. And then Joe goes to college, and what do we give him? A treadmill of scholarships.
Well, hopefully, these students who are truly needy, they're going to have things paid with their, institutional scholarships, the Pell Grant, the state grant, and institutional need-based aid. And hopefully that is enough to get them to the point where minimal student loans is going to help them fill the gap.
This is a hard job you have, Andrea.
It is. It is.
Well, thank you for taking the time to come on the show. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And I hope I, at least, shed a light on it to make it at least less muddy. But but I will tell you just a caveat that, with the FAFSA simplification rules that are coming down for the 24-25 year, they're supposed to be able to they're making it more straightforward on who would be Pell eligible and who wouldn't be. So a lot of everything that we talked about is probably going to change.
Well, in that case, I hope you'll come back.
I will. When I got more information about it, I'll definitely come back.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thinking my replacement might be anyone at all. But if you think you can ditch me, drive me or unhitch me, you'll find...
You're listening to I Hate Politics. I am Sunil Dasgupta. At this time, I draw out lessons from my conversation with my guests. But this is one of those interviews where my guest, Andrea Cipolla's words are necessary and sufficient in showing the broken financial aid regime we live in. Student debt forgiveness may be one step to fixing the problem. But unless we stop generating more student debt, unless we find a way to address the roots of the problem, we are just shoveling in an avalanche. And we'll continue to carry the consequences of our broken college pricing and financial aid system. Recently, I heard former Indiana governor and thereafter president of Purdue University, Mitch Daniels, speak. Purdue, under Daniels, is famously reported as freezing the cost of attendance at 2012 numbers. After listening to him, I thought he had found an answer, but following some research, I cannot tell you that I found a convincing explanation for how he did it. In his words, the freeze was made possible by small but numerous cuts to spending and growing the student body via a massive relative shift away from humanities and social sciences to science and technology fields. Purdue used to be an engineering school even before Daniels went there as president. But if cutting social sciences and humanities is what will improve the financial health of higher education, we are really not talking about realities. The reality that close to half of students who start in a STEM field will not finish in what they started. The reality that technological education produces social misfits who want efficiency at all costs, even sometimes of legitimacy. The reality that we experienced an insurrection 2 years ago. The reality that we now are at a place where we have to fight for democracy while being unable to muster the strength for climate action or road safety or the miseducation of higher education. I don't want to be the one to rain on your holiday. There is leftover turkey in the refrigerator and maybe even some cranberry sauce. Get through that, and I'll see you next week. Music for this episode comes from Airport 77's, Silver Spring's own power pop band. Their new album, We Realize You Have a Choice, is widely acclaimed and played on alternative radio stations. Andy Sullivan on vocals and guitar, Chuck Dolan on bass, and John Kelly on the drums. If you want to share your music on the show or know someone else who might want to, please sign up for updates on our brand new website, ihppod.org. I hope you'll subscribe and share the show as we bring you stories about politics close to you and to your home. See you next time.
Do you ever think about me at all? It's so cruel. You got me plunging over the waterfall. It's not cool. You got me bouncing around like a super ball. I let my guard down. Now you turn me upside down. It's an illustrated book of Cupid. Flip through the pages. Tell me, what do you see? In the illustrated book of Cupid, is there a picture of you and me? Shot through the heart, shot through with ecstasy. I've been slain from the first time I saw you walk my way. I've been struck. Here it comes now, gonna push my luck. I've been changed. I never know, I'm never gonna be the same. Show me that smile, gotta get you alone for a while. It's an illustrated book of Cupid. Flip through the pages, tell me, what do you see? In the illustrated book of Cupid, is there a picture of you and me? Shot through the heart, shot through with ecstasy. It's an